20 years, she says guardedly, leading the team and taming the coach when necessary. Thank you very much.
Let me introduce the one and only Representative Tony Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to be up here today to highlight and to talk about the heroes of some of the girls that work in my community. These young ladies up here have made our state proud, but they've also set a standard for our children that goes far beyond what they ever could imagine. And I thank you for all the hard work and the role models that you guys play for all our kids. They really love it. I have a secretary in my office who, whenever there's a women's basketball game on, she stops everything. She's got all of your pictures, and you came and signed her thing, and she's about this high, but she has every memorabilia possible for Uconn, and she would die to be up here right now. I'm going to take the time to introduce Brittany Hunter. Oh, Brittany is a sophomore, and she was a forward guard, and she is from Columbus, Ohio. Nikita Soigné. Kita. She's not here. Hey! Kita, come on, step up here since you just came in the door. This is Kita. Kita's a freshman. Keisha, I'm sorry. That's a Kita. Okay. You're a freshman?
Yes, ma'am.
You from Ohio?
Georgia.
You from Georgia? Oh, yeah, I do have that down there, huh? Kita played 31 games, and she's a guard, and she is going to bring a lot of excitement up in the next 3 years. Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Next, I'm introducing Mel Thomas. Mel? Oh, right here. Oh, hey, okay. Come on up, Mel. You got to get camera Kodak moments up here. Mel is you're from Cincinnati, Ohio? She played 29 games, and she was the high scorer in St. John's game, and she really made us proud that time. Mel is, what position do you play, Mel? Guard. Oh, Mel plays guard. How tall are you? 5'8". Oh, okay. Anyhow, thank you, Mel, for all your excitement and all your efforts and everything you've done. Thank you. And I want to also honor the people that help keep the team together. Chris Canio, there we go. Chris, thank you. Chris is one of our managers. See, we allow men to coach too, besides the head one, okay? Natalie Pedroza, Natalie. Thank you, Natalie. And thank you, team, for being wonderful and making us proud. And now, am I going to announce the next one?
Only if you want to get Denise.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was going to get her up there.
You taking right over
Okay.
there.
Thank you. I like this up here, okay? And now for the number one, fan of Uconn up here, who she lives and she breathes and she talks and she worships that university, Denise Merrill.
I get all the money? Oh. Oh, I give out all the money. I see. It's always a wonderful day to be from Storrs, Connecticut, my favorite day of the years. And it's great to welcome all you people up here from Storrs, because it's a great town to live in. And I get to see these young ladies both on and off the basketball court. And it's the thing, I think, that has done the most to make my relatives back in California, where I'm from, say more than Connecticut. It's one of those little states up there, isn't it? And that's what they used to say, but they don't say that so much anymore, and they're great fans. I have the pleasure today to introduce a few of the players and other folks, and I'll start with a wonderful, wonderful basketball player. I'm a great fan. I go to lots of the girls' games, and Wilmette Crockett gave us quite a year. Wilmette, are you here? And I think she's also from California, am I right? Not the same part, though. I'm from San Francisco. You're from LA. Well, we're very lucky to have you. Had a great year. I would also like to introduce Morgan Valley, who was a player with us and is now a student assistant coach. Morgan, are you here? Great to have you. And a senior on the team, and I'm hoping she'll even come and say a couple of words. Jessica Moore, wonderful player. Come on, you can say something.
It has been. Thank you. Do you want to say something else?
You say something.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. On behalf of the whole entire team, I can speak for everyone when I say that we're very, very grateful to come here every single year. And I can honestly tell you that every single year that we come here, we're just so honored to meet you all. And you guys all greet us so warmly. And it's really, really fun for us to come up here. And just thank you for everything. The past 5 years have been awesome for me. And hopefully I'll see you all very soon. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And hopefully maybe on a pro level, huh? One of these days. And finally, two of the sort of background people doing media relations and video coordinator, Randy Press and Keith Anderson. Step forward, see how you are. Thank you so much. You do great work. No, she got down somebody else.
Ain't nothing left.
No, no.
Ain't nothing
Well, there is one other guy that we introduce. There's a guy who's the coach of the team. And I can't believe it's been 20 years. Has it, Gino? Is it 20 years this year? Wow, time flies when you're having fun, huh? Well, it is my great pleasure and honor to be able to introduce Coach Gino Orbiema. He needs no introduction, really, but 20 years with the team. Gino. You gonna talk? Come on, Ed, come on. Come on, Gino. I'm gonna say a few more things first. We could say a lot about Gino's accomplishments, and those of us in Connecticut who follow the women's basketball team of the University of Connecticut know him pretty well, but needless to say, 5-time National Coach of the Year, Big East Coach of the Year, at least 6 times, maybe more. Statistics for everything, but mostly what he's done is give us so much pride in the University of Connecticut and the state of Connecticut, and his recruiting of these outstanding young women. And I think the most impressive thing about the teams and the women that Gino has recruited for us over the years is not only are they outstanding on the basketball court, but they're of outstanding personal character and academic success. So I really think he's shaped this team into something that some of us, a decade ago never could have imagined. And here we are today. So I want to thank you on behalf of the state of Connecticut for all the work you've done and the wonderful days you've given us. So thank you, Gino. Thank you.
Thank you all. All that talk about we love you whether you win a championship or not. Not true, huh? There's a lot of empty seats here this year. We love you whether you win or not. Uh-huh. Sure. Yeah. That's all right. We're all part of the same generation here. We vote for you guys whether we like you or not. Don't worry about it. And we talked, you met all the players. I mean, can you imagine we have players from California and Alaska and Colorado and New Mexico, Ohio, Nigeria. We have, You know why? They don't get the Hartford Current there.
And will now.
Having said that, I do want to just echo what Jessica said and tell you that we do appreciate you having us out here. And it's not about coming out all the time to celebrate national championships, because national championships don't happen all the time, in spite of sometimes what it appears to be. It doesn't happen all the time. And on those years when it doesn't happen, I think you get to really appreciate how fortunate we are when it does happen. And for us to come out, it's kind of ironic. I remember the first time that anyone came out here, it was, wow, our program is getting to be really, really good. Now we're out here, well, 25-8. It was, it was all right. It was okay. I mean, I don't know that any other school in America sits around after they're 25-8 going, I promise, I really, really do. We're going to be a lot better next year. But I will promise you this. We are going to miss Jessica Moore, and we are going to miss Ashley Battle and Ashley Valley and Stacey Marin, and we are going to miss them tremendously for everything they've done. And they are leaving with 3 national championship rings and an awful lot of memories that they take with them. But I do promise you that next year we will be back here. Spoken like someone who's been affected by being in this chamber. I just want to tell you that. I used to make promises, but when I walk in here, I speak like that. I promise I'll be back here next year. And I promise that we'll probably, I don't want to say definitely, but we'll probably be celebrating not only a great season, but maybe a return to the Final Four and maybe a national championship. But if we don't, we will certainly celebrate all the unbelievable things that have happened at Connecticut during the last 10 years, since 1995, when we first came out here for the Uconn 2000. And so much has happened in the last 10 years that I can't imagine that there isn't a correlation between all the championships that we've won and all the tremendous changes at the University of Connecticut. It takes a championship kind of institution to produce championship teams, and we certainly have that, and I want to thank you all for that. Thank you very much.
One last time, please. You're watching, huh? Yeah, good luck. Okay, well, we'll be watching you anyway. Bye, guys.
Mr. Speaker, someone needs to mention Mr. Markovia Minister contributions to
Well, ladies and gentlemen, certainly it's an honor. We are so pleased once again to welcome the Uconn men's basketball team to our House chamber. As you know, there is no doubt that Uconn basketball captures our hearts each year with their exciting play. And every spring we wonder who will be leaving early and who will form the nucleus for next season. You know, there's been a lot of talk. Coach lately, some players leaving sophomore year, junior year. In fact, I got to tell you, Coach, I got to share. In fact, my own agent tells me that I've developed a pretty good inside game. So I want to make sure everyone knows that I will be going pro. And some of you have been saying that anyways, that I should be going pro because I've been an amateur speaker for the last 4 months. So next year, you know how much those guys make. I'm going pro. But anyways, thank really Coach Calhoun and your great team of assistants. Uconn basketball is mentioned in the same conversation as North Carolina, Kentucky, and that other school that we don't like to talk about, Duke. Yeah, my feelings exactly. I'd also like to congratulate Coach Calhoun on his recent selection. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's anything to celebrate, it's certainly not only Coach Calhoun's health. Being a cancer survivor, I watch Jim and I see how healthy he is. So that's number one, that he's healthy. Number two, to be a 700-game winner, two-time national champ, and most importantly, just inducted to the Hall of Fame, Coach Calhoun. And we really are so honored and pleased to have you, Coach, with us and these great players behind us, these great men. Win or lose, gentlemen, let me tell you, Husky basketball will always be a rallying point for all of us that call Connecticut home. What you've done for our state and the quality of players that the coaches brought forward and the coaching staff, we've been watching not only when you play basketball, but what you've been doing with your lives after basketball, whether it be in business or whether it be in other fields or whether it be being professional basketball players. You can see the quality of people that Coach Calhoun has taught, and we're hope that someday, whether you guys go pro, no matter what life is, whether it be basketball or pro and anything else, we do watch you and we're proud of you. We don't forget about you when you're gone. So we hope that you continue to do what you've done on the field, bring back to your communities, because those are the people you got to remember. Go back home and take care of those folks because they look up to you. So it gives me a great pleasure, if I could, since I humbly apologize to Representative Chris Donovan, my majority leader and my good friend, who I totally dissed by not introducing him when the girls played. You don't blame me, I had all the women. I'm going to share it anyway, yeah. But I'll share the men with you. My good friend, Majority Leader Chris Donovan.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks, Mr. Speaker. Now that Jimmy's made his announcement about going pro, I'll make an announcement next week. I want to say to the Uconn team, we're very proud of you. A tremendous effort this year. You know, this is a cold state. It gets awfully cold this winter. But every year you fire us up. You get that blood flowing, whether it's watching the TV or watching it at the game itself. You know, you get us moving, you get us up, and we really find it really exciting. Also, you bring us all together. You know, no matter where you go during these months, you know, people stop at the street. Did you see that shot? Do you believe that call? All that brings us all together. And the other thing I want to commend you for the balance you do and all the work you do, just preparing for the game and doing studies at the same time. I mean, I went to college too. You know, it was hard enough just to keep up with the studies, but to think about all the work you do. And you're our national ambassadors. You go out there and people see you and they think about Connecticut. And when you're on TV nationwide, people are thinking about Connecticut. What a wonderful place it is. So I want to thank you for all your work this year, and I wish you all a very healthy, very productive season next year. Thank you. You know, Coach, even we have to do commercials. I was just given
and I have to do this. I really want to make sure people understand. A lot of times we don't realize who helps put these events together. There's a reception downstairs. So to Wachovia Bank and Webster Banks for sponsoring this reception, we should all thank them if we round of applause for doing that for us. I can assure you the taxpayers appreciate it, so we thank them for their help. At this point, it gives me great pleasure of introducing a good friend also from the other side of the aisle, Representative Bill Hamsey.
First of all, I want to add my congratulations for a good season. I know this was a season that was probably unlike any other that I've experienced with the number of health issues that the team experienced, but I'm certainly glad that everything panned out for AJ and for Rashad, and I'm sure it was a time of adversity for the whole team. I also want to add my congratulations to you, Coach, on achieving 700 wins, which is certainly a milestone in college basketball, and for being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I hope I can make it up for the induction ceremony. I think that'll be fun. It's my pleasure to introduce a few players. The first one, as you know, is a transfer from Georgia Tech. Was the ACC Rookie of the Year his freshman year, and has contributed certainly a lot of toughness to the team, Ed Nelson. The second guy I'm pleased to introduce is a guy who joined the team as a walk-on and worked hard every day in practice and certainly in games, and was rewarded for his hard work with a scholarship, and his name is Jason Baish. Obviously, there's a lot of expectations on this next guy. Had a great first couple of years, and we're looking forward to him leading the team to the promised land next year, and that's Josh Boone. I mentioned earlier about this next player. My college roommate actually was his treating anesthesiologist, and really pointed out to me how serious his ailment was. And we're just happy that he pulled through it, and hopefully looking forward to a great senior year, and that's Rashad Anderson. And finally, next guy is certainly an important part of the Uconn team and Uconn family. I believe he's been there for 11 years, and we're looking forward to having him for another year as an assistant coach, and that's Tom Moore.
It looked like, I don't know, were you a basketball player in your day? I know you, it wasn't. You're Ernie. Yeah, you're all done, buddy. Representative McCory.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you guys on an outstanding season. Unfortunately, didn't bring that title home, but I'm sure next year it's coming back to Connecticut where it belongs. As the speaker said, I did play a little basketball in my younger days, and I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to play against Uconn. And I'll be honest with you guys, all my life, I always wanted to grow up and play for the University of Connecticut, living in the state of Connecticut. I wasn't that good, but I was good enough to play for the coaches at a different university. So Wasn't good enough for UConn, but good enough for these fine coaches you have that represent the state of Connecticut. I just want to introduce a couple of players. They really don't need an introduction because we all know them, we love them. They represent us every day. The first young man I'd like to introduce is a sharp-shooting small forward from Toronto, Canada, Mr. Denham Brown. The next young man, I like to call him, you know I have nicknames for all you guys. I call him Big Smooth. 6'11" junior forward center from Peekskill, New York, Hilton Armstrong. This other young man, I guess you can say, if you watch ESPN and you watch college basketball, you would know that this young man, Marcus Williams, by the time the season ended, he was probably voted the best point guard in the Big East, and in my heart, the best point guard in the country, Marcus Williams. All the way from LA. I like that. Okay. And finally, this young man, I'm sure, will be playing in the NBA. We want to wait until like 3 more years from now. But, you know, when time calls, you have to take care of your responsibilities. This young man was voted the best freshman player in the country. He needs no introduction. He's a shining star. He'll continue along the path of all the other great UConn players. His name is Rudy Gay. And we all be remiss if we didn't remember a person who keeps all of us together. As a college player, I know if you always needed something, if you always needed a little support, a little help, the manager of that team was always there. You can't do this without a manager who has the high integrity and the leadership and the commitment to making your program work. That manager is Michelle Kent. All right? Thank you very much.
I finally get a chance to hear what the guys really say when we're back here. Very enjoyable. I'd like to introduce, they're all good though, Coach, they're behaving. Almost. I'd like to introduce the minority leader and good friend of mine, Representative Bob Ward.
From the Republican side of the aisle, I would also like to first congratulate Coach Calhoun on 700 wins and his correct induction into the Hall of Fame. It is great for this state university to have a Hall of Fame coach. Coach Calhoun, we're all proud of you and congratulate you. And I say from the minority or Republican side of the aisle because there's one thing that's true about Uconn Husky basketball. There's no Republican and Democrat. There's no rich or poor. There are just people that love the state university and the men's basketball. You bring this great state together. You take a cold winter days and make it hot times in households and other places where people gather to watch the game across the state. You represent us so well. I've been a fan for a long, long time, since before my undergraduate days, and that goes back quite a ways. And every season has been a thrill. The final record doesn't matter. It's the way you carry yourselves and the way you compete at all times that means a decade or so ago, when people didn't really know Uconn basketball, you can go anywhere in the country now, and if you travel and you tell them you're from Connecticut, they say, well, those Huskies are great. You make us proud to be a resident of Connecticut, and we thank you for that. I do have a couple of players to introduce, and I think it's Ryan Thompson not here, but I'd ask people to give him a round of applause. He certainly came on strong as the season went on. And The team is not just made up of the scholarship players that everybody knows the name coming in, but it takes a whole group of athletes that work very hard for the team to be successful. And I would like to introduce one of those players that works hard, but you don't see the name all the time, but it's what makes a team pull together, Nick Forostowski. And another true student athlete, again, not a name that everybody sees at all times, but it's what makes a team pull together as a team, Martin Gagné. We've already mentioned Coach Calhoun, but it is my honor to introduce a couple of our coaches. The first coach I will introduce, Coach Andre LaFleur. He's been a great addition to the coaching staff. The next coach I'll introduce is certainly no stranger to New England basketball, and had been a highly successful head coach before becoming an assistant coach at the University of Connecticut. Has continued to do a great job, George Blaney.
Next, I'd like to introduce Representative Melody Curry.
And I'm your token woman for the afternoon for the men. It is a pleasure to be up here and to congratulate the Uconn players for the wonderful job that you've done. And Representative Ward is right. It is the one thing that brings us all together, no matter how bad things are. If we talk about Uconn and basketball, it just brings a positive light to everybody's face and heart. I'd like to first introduce manager Justin Ivanovich, who Denise Merrill tells me had played basketball for E.O. Smith for 3 years, and every team needs that manager. And next, I'd like to introduce a gentleman that I'm sure is not here because he was drafted, Charlie Villanueva from Brooklyn, New York. Give him a round of applause. And next, we are all glad that he had successful recovery this year, and we look forward to A.J. Price being a star next year. We have Director of Operations, Peter Sellers. And next, we have Uconn Huskies fan favorite, the walk-on, who has made a lot out of his opportunities on the court, Sammy Amaziani. Thank you.
Well, there he is, Representative Chris Stone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Before I introduce a few of our guests, I just want to remind each of the basketball players here tonight that there is a game tomorrow at 5 at St. Joseph's College. My coach, Ken Green, is looking for some height. Well, I remember when I was at Uconn back in the early 1980s, I always wanted to grow up and be a Uconn basketball player. I just never grew, and that was the problem. Anyway, first I'd like to introduce a gentleman who, and quite frankly, my notes are a little shaky. Is Ben Spencer here? Let's hear it for Ben Spencer. Ben was a practice player at Walk-On. He was one of the guys that when they practiced, he'd be the sweating and running and doing all the things that made these guys as good as they are. LeSean Reed, is LeSean here? He's out with Ben. He's out with Reggie Beam in the parking lot looking for Gino's car. Osazi Omakaro. I know I saw Jeff Hathaway here earlier. Did he come back? Let's hear it for our athletic director, Jeff Hathaway. I also want to thank the speaker for this assignment and having all the Executive Associate
That's
Director
because of all those bills you brought out of committee.
Neil Eskin. Is Neil here? Come on, Neil, come forward. You're the only guy here, Neil. Let's go. Stand up and give Neil a hand. My favorite media relations guy from the men's basketball team, Kyle Munchie. Is Kyle here? How about his brother, Kyle Muncie? And finally, I'm dying, I know. It's bad. Well, look at this. What does this say? What does this say? What does this say? It starts at the top, Speaker. And finally, it is indeed a privilege to introduce just a fantastic individual, that mild-mannered coach of the team who, when the kids need a little help, a little coddling, he's always there to speak calmly, gently to his players, to the referees sometimes. But he truly is a great coach, and he's just a very valuable asset to the state of Connecticut. His induction into the Hall of Fame, his 700-plus wins now. We measure our success, unfortunately, in the sports field, sometimes based solely upon wins and losses. And each year, Coach Jim Calhoun turns out better individuals, better students, and better athletes, regardless of the record. You are to be commended, and we thank you for all the work you've done for the state of Connecticut. Coach Jim Calhoun.
Thank you very much. You got a problem with the way I act? You don't want to do that. That just gets it going. By the way, I've made a resolution in April. I'm warm and fuzzy now. Can't you tell? On behalf of our basketball team, we're going to have a guy who has had a sensational 3 years for us. Last year, he really was one of the leaders of our national championship team, averaged over 18 points a game, shot 58% from three-point land, and certainly, along with Denham and Hilton, have been through certainly the wars with us and have been just incredible kids. And on behalf of the team, I would like to have Rashad Anderson say a couple of words, please.
First off, I just want to thank, everybody who supported us throughout the whole season and who just sent me and AJ and this team blessings. Because you never know when something can be taken away from you. I mean, this whole experience, it taught me about life, more than just basketball, because, I never thought in a million years that I'd be in the same situation as AJ. It humbles you and it teaches you just live every day as it comes, because you never know when you're guaranteed another day. So we just really thank all you fans who support us, everybody who sent this team blessings and supporting us the whole year. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashad. And I think Rashad kind of summed up, starting with AJ. And just to give you an idea, I've been coaching 34 years. I know, I look a lot younger than that, but I started very young. And regardless, I spent, since I saw both kids every day, except one when I was on a road trip, couldn't visit Rashad, and they spent a total of 14 days in intensive care between the two of them. And I had, as 34 years, had been twice. Once 1 day, once 2 days, 2 total days. And so it was a terrible experience for all of us. But I think it did put things in proper perspective. I don't think we needed, and for a lot of these kids who are just absolutely tremendous young men, but it didn't allow us to understand really truly what a day means. A day means when you get up, you're going to make the best of it, because God promises us nothing except what we have right now. And I think each one of us, as we approach every single thing that we possibly could do, must approach it that way. And I think that for our team, the tragic events, which have turned out to be the best victories we had all year, when A.J. came out of the hospital, I still remember him getting in that van with his family and with a big smile on my face, and the same thing when I first saw Rashad and hugged him when he first came out. Those are our two biggest wins of the year, I can tell you right now. By the standard that we set, sometimes people don't realize that in the 100-year history of Uconn, until 1986, we had never won more than 23 games, and everybody keeps telling me you had a pretty good year this year. Well, we were the Big East champs at 13-3, and we did fight through. And that's not an excuse, that's a fact. And then as we got towards the NCAA tournament, we had Rashad's about 17 pounds lighter, and not silly himself, the great player that he is. Denham, who I think for about a 10-game stretch was as good a player as there was in the Big East. He just dominated games, and his patella tendon really acted up. He was in trouble, and then we had to suspend a player 4 days before the tournament started, and I'd do it again. It might have cost us a game or two, but you know, rules are rules and regulations, and are going to still be abided at the University of Connecticut. So with all that said, this team will always have a special place in my heart, because I think they really, really gave everything they had. They were a tremendous group of guys to coach. We have a great, great group of guys, and you guys talk about championships next year, and I hope to see you next year. I hope to see you tonight weightlifting. That's what I hope to see. And I hope to see you shooting a great deal tomorrow. That's what I want to see. I don't want to waste any time. You know, we've got the Maui Classic next year, and we have to go a whole week to Maui. I know, but someone's got to do it. And we're going to play, you know, 3 games, and then we're going to stay for another week or so. All on taxpayer money. It's a joke. It's a joke. I read the Covenant every day. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. But it really has been really a terrific, terrific basketball year for us. And you know, when I think back of the 19 years that I've been coming in here, 9 and 19 the first year, and some of the guys thought they had a great year. Jerry Bestlink and some of those kids, and God rest his soul, Jeff King and Phil Gamble and Cliff Robinson, who's still playing in the NBA, and just all the great kids who have stood up where our players now stand. And I try to tell them there's very few places in America, and I know you guys have alluded to that, but very few places in America where a team can be encompassed by an entire state. And you do that for us. When I came in '86, Uconn didn't look like Uconn does today. There was no Gamble Pavilion. The university looked entirely different. And through the incredible hard work of our athletes, certainly our administration, but as much as anybody else, you. Because you are going to have to be the ones to fight the fight for us, to make sure that this university, which now, in my opinion, is a jewel of the state, and quite frankly, every place I go, whether I be in Los Angeles, and I got in at 6 o'clock this morning because I happened to be at the Wooden Awards over the weekend, or go to St. Louis, or wherever I go, Uconn has a special name. Connecticut has a special name. And each and every one of you who had an intricate part of making our university special, and all the things that you've done to try to help us, will be forever indebted. My 19 years here have been incredibly special, and I can tell you right now, an awful lot of it has begun with every single one of you. So I want to thank you on behalf of our basketball program and certainly our athletic department, and really everybody and every student at Uconn who's had a better experience in their life because of you. Thanks very, very much.
Thank you, Coach. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a little bit more business. If Representative. Who's being the one? Is that Keely? You with the red phone, man. Hey, I got the mic on there, Tim. Keely, if it's you, man, all your bonding is dead for 5 years. Bob, you're gonna come out, do a little more business and about, we got one law and bill to show one. Well, do a referral bill because there's a reception downstairs starting now. I'm gonna have the privilege of bringing the gentleman in the back room for a few minutes and we'll send them right down to you. So Bobby, get that done and we can go have something to eat and something to drink, okay? Again, for the Uconn men's basketball team.
Oh, I thought we were doing a referral. Okay. There is? And we have a list of... What referral? They just said this week. I don't know. I want to make an announcement before everybody leaves over in session next week. The only thing we're going to do is referrals, right? Yeah. I mean,